the things that people do for idol worship is irrational, but they use their minds to rationalize. Doesn't mean it's right though. So the thing is though with idol worship is that the Gemara in Masech Avodah Zarah says that we're not allowed to be within 6 feet of someone that is a someone that's like a Christian missionary. You're not allowed to stand next to them. And the reason why is because even if they say they won't talk about it, they can't help themselves. Because once somebody is part of idolatry, the tumah, the impurity that comes from idolatry, in essence, takes over the person. And influences the person to do things that are completely irrational, where they can't control themselves. That's why religious Christians, even if they don't mean to, they missionize. They try to get people to idolatry. Even if you tell them, listen, I'm a religious Jew, I'm not interested in your religion, they're not going to stop. Okay, we're not going to talk about it today. 5 minutes later, they're talking about it. Why? They can't help themselves. This is why in the Gemara, in Masechet Sanhedrin, it was a story of two Chachamim that were on a fork road, and they had to choose to either go right or left in order to get to where they wanted to go. But on one side, they had a church of idol worship, and on the other side, they had a house of prostitution, of non-modest things. And they chose to go next to the not modest things, and that path. Why? So the Chacham said, this is Chachmenu Zichronam Livracha, that even though the not modest thing and idol worship are both bad, the idol worship is worse, because the prostitution house, he goes by there and he could close his eyes. Even if the women come outside, he could simply close his eyes and pass through it, and maybe they're not going to be there, maybe they're not going to come out. The point, if they come next to him, and as long as he passes and he doesn't stay, he doesn't talk to them, he doesn't do anything there, it's not going to affect him. Whereas the place of idolatry, even if no one comes and talks to you, it's still going to affect you in some way or another, passing by it. Needless to say, if somebody comes and talks to you. Why? Minut mashcha. Minut mashcha means that when someone is connected to missionizing for idolatry, they literally they can't control themselves. They have to missionize. They have to preach idolatry. They have to constantly do things that are connected to this idolatry. Their whole life revolves around it, to the point where rational and irrational are there's not much of a difference between the two. They'll do all types of things just to get their point across. This is the reason why people that consider themselves religious Christians murdered the Jewish people in the Holocaust, because they believed that this was the what was needed to happen. Now, of course, I know this is part of the church doesn't like to talk about, and a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but that's the reality. People that were religious Christians were part of the Nazi army, were part of the problem, and they actually thought that they were doing the better good by killing Jews. When the Jewish people cried out to the Pope, one of the leaders of the Christian world, to help them, he stayed silent. He didn't help them like he was supposed to, or like the so-called loving religion that he does. They pretended like they helped, but in reality they didn't help. So the thing is though is that even in the world today, there's a lot of confusion about what to think about all of this Christian support that Israel gets. Where the Christians are donating and investing a lot of money in Israel, and a lot of people think, oh yeah, this is really nice of them. They're helping us. No, they're not helping you. They're investing in order to missionize. Because part of their beliefs is that they have to either convert all of the Jews or kill all of them. Whichever one happens. Because they believe that all of the Jews are either going to convert to Judaism or they're going to die. They don't believe that we could just live in peace once their so-called Messiah comes. It's either Die or convert to Christianity. That's the belief. That's the core foundational beliefs of Christianity. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. It's in their books. They say, yeah, no, it's 144,000 people going to be left. Yeah, 144,000 people. That means a complete annihilation. It's worse than the Holocaust. So that's in their books. Now somebody says, no, but I don't believe that. So wait, so you follow the New Testament, but you don't believe the New Testament? I don't understand. Either you follow it and you believe it, or you don't follow it and you don't believe it. And that's the problem. You're never going to find two Christians that are alike, because many of them are simply following the footsteps of whatever preacher or pastor tells them. And the more extreme ones are very, very big anti-Semites. They hate Jews. And they do it openly. And the ones that invest into Israel, it's not because they love Jews, but rather because they believe that their job is to convert the Jews to idol worship, or to eventually be part of their annihilation, one or the other. They're not going to admit it, but that's really what it is. That's in their books, that's in their belief system, that's simply the reality. So, obviously, it doesn't make sense, because many times you'll find very, very nice Christian people that don't believe what I just said. They don't believe they need to kill the Jews. In fact, they themselves believe that they could coexist with the Jewish people. They don't want to be part of some annihilation. They don't want to be part of killing any Jews. And they don't even necessarily think that they need to convert Jews. That's very nice of them. Problem is, that's not really what their belief system is. Meaning, they believe that, but the books they follow don't. The New Testament says what it says. They have their own version of Christianity, meaning the New Testament is by far the most anti-Semitic book that exists in the world. That's the New Testament. It's an anti-Semitic book. It's a book that hates Jews, especially the religious Jews, which they call the Pharisees, the Pharisees, which are the sages. That's the New Testament. So they're not going to tell you that they hate Jews. They're going to tell you they love Jews. Because if they told you what they've been telling us for the last 2,000 years, it's not going to work so well. It didn't work so well in the last couple of thousand years. But that's the truth. So a person needs to know that rational and irrational do not play a role in the world of idolatry. In the world of idolatry, minut mashcha. Minut mashcha means that the missionizing mentality and ideology is what pulls a person to do what they do. Meaning their end goal, their end agenda of missionizing and converting Jews to Christianity, because the whole thing doesn't make any sense or rational sense for them to even missionize the Jews, because there are very few Jews in the world. Go to the Chinese, there's 2 billion of them. Go to the Hindus, there's 2 billion of them. Go to the Arabs, there's 2 billion of them. Go focus on all of them. Why do you bother with the few million Jews that are in the world? That's because, again, rational and irrational do not play a role in idolatry. It's all minut. It's all a spiritual deformity. And this is also the reason why when a Christian lets himself really think and actually double check his beliefs, more times than not, he ends up leaving his religion. And many times he ends up joining Judaism. Because once he questions his belief system, he can't understand why he believes what he believes. All right. First time I got to watch the rabbi, won't be the last. Baruch Hashem. Let's see. Strange things are happening with my computer here. Not sure what's going on. Okay.